What exactly would happen in terms of this settlement, and how would this, for college football, college sports fans, how would this impact the sports that they love?
Thanks, Todd. I feel like I deserve an honorary law degree after having covered college sports for the last
I'm
3 or
with you.
4 years. The upshot of it all is that there has been a huge shift in momentum in the past year, but really even in the past few weeks, where college sports leaders have sort of come to the acceptance that they're going to have to, or would be behoove them to share revenue with, at least at the top end of college football, their athletes moving forward through some kind of collective bargaining agreement. And right now, the catalyst or the vehicle that might help at least get the first framework of what that agreement might look like. All this usually happens through a players union in pro sports. Colleges don't have a players association like that set up yet. So the first framework for what a revenue share agreement might look like would likely happen as part of a settlement for this antitrust lawsuit that's been going on for a couple of years. And the two sides in that case are getting pretty into the weeds on a discussion of what that framework would look like moving forward.
So for college athletes right now, college athletes in the future, we know that NIL has gone from being the Wild West to basically still the Wild West, and they're trying to put guidelines in place, but the guidelines aren't necessarily real stringent. There's different schools that are competing very much financially, especially in the transfer portal for college football players right now. If this goes through, how, if at all, does that potentially allow the NCAA or other governing bodies to rein in some of the craziness that's led to what we've seen over the past several years?
The kind of things we see in collective bargaining agreements for pro sports lay out the ability for them to sign contracts that have a player staying somewhere longer than a year. Right now, college sports, with the way the transfer portal and NIL is set up, at least once a year, sometimes twice a year, players have an opportunity to basically be unrestricted free agents. And I think a lot of coaches and athletic administrators have realized that's not a great idea. But in order for them to get a little bit of control back over that part of the game, there are lawsuits preventing them from making rules that prohibit that right now. They're going to have to give up something else in order to get that control back. And that something else is almost certainly going to be a piece of all of the TV money that has been pouring into college sports over the past couple of decades.
How much is this also about the NCAA just fighting for survival as an organization in terms of, we know that there have been proposals on could you, have the big schools all band together and basically break off and form a completely different league. For the NCAA to even be relevant, to exist in 5 years, how important is it for them to resolve some of these things from a legal perspective and at least have a path forward that they remain the governing body here?
So the House case, if it goes to trial, and it's scheduled to go to trial next January, could cost the NCAA somewhere between $4 and $5 billion in damages if they lose. And it's a pretty good bet they're going to lose. Their track record in these cases in recent years has been pretty rough. So I think that's one of the big motivations behind negotiating it. So it is an existential threat for the NCAA. And I think we still may see a model in the future where the top 20, 30, 40 schools, whatever it may be, split off and do their own thing. But the NCAA for the past 30 years or so has been a after-school extracurricular activity when it's convenient for them to think of themselves that way, and a huge multi-billion-dollar entertainment business when they want to think about themselves that way. We've reached a point where they're going to have to pick one of those two lanes. And we may see some schools decide they want to take a step back and operate more like a D2 or D3 school, but we're definitely going to see a group of schools say jump with both feet into the sort of, this is a billion-dollar entertainment industry, and we're going to start treating it like one.
The amazing part, and I'm not intending to put words in your mouth here, Dan, we appreciate you being here, Dan Murphy, staff writer for ESPN.com. Basically what I hear is this is illegal, what the NCAA is doing. It's always been illegal. We've been complicit in this for decades of letting them do the illegal things because we like football, because we like March Madness, we like those types of things. In your mind, if this model moves forward here, does the fabric of the sport change? Does it even potentially change for the better in terms of some of the things with NIL and unlimited transfers and those types of things? Is this an improvement for the average fan, or is this going to work to the detriment and we're going to go completely, down a different path here moving forward?
So the law is not quite black and white, and that's why I think it's tough to say that it's been illegal for the past 30 years. Really, the Supreme Court and judges have changed their mind about how they interpret this murky part of the law that for a while gave the NCAA basically a special exception to violate some of the rules that no other industry in the country can violate. That special exception is now gone, which is why we've had this turmoil over the last 3 to 4 years. In terms of what this means for fans, if you are a fan that really wants to make sure that he sees Alabama play Jacksonville State because they live in the same state, or wants to make sure that Ohio State is going to play Akron every once in a while and likes those stories, that might not happen in the future. But if you're a fan who wants to see Ohio State play Oregon every week or Alabama play Texas, we're going to see more and more of those matchups coming because I think what this is leading to is a bigger separation between the 30 or 40 schools that are just playing in a different stratosphere than everybody else with money right now.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.